Welcome to A Lunch with Biggie, a podcast about small business and creatives sharing their stories and inspiring you. My guests today have been on the show before. They're bringing a modern traditional take on Cuban food. This time they've gone from pop-ups and catering and have added their own location with a Ventanita now. Please welcome back the owners of Gnarly Cuban, Marley and Nina. What's going on, ladies?
Hello. Hola.
How are you? Thank you so much for coming on. I know we've been trying to set this up for a while, and we finally got an opportunity to have our schedules line up. So I'm glad we get a chance to kind of talk again. I know a lot has changed since we last spoke. I always like to ask the question, obviously, what's your go-to lunch or sandwich? I want to know kind of like the two versions. I want the Gnarly Cuban version of what's the go-to lunch or sandwich that you both have, and then I also want, what do you have when you're not at Gnarly Cuban? What's your usual go-to lunch or sandwich? And by the way, I have notes, so I know what you said last time.
No pressure. No pressure. No pressure.
No, I don't care if you give me something different. I'm perfectly fine if you give me something different. I'll just tell you what you told me in the past.
Okay.
It's true.
Shoot.
I'm going to say my Gnarly Cuban version of the sandwich is pressed pan cubano with Swiss cheese. Whenever we need like a little sandwich snack, it just has Swiss cheese, and then we just press that. My go-to outside of the Gnarly Cuban, as of lately, I will go to Stacio's and get a ham and cheese. And I only say ham and cheese because Nina cannot eat egg, and we do share it. Ham and cheese from Stacio's on a roll.
So you get the breakfast sandwich.
I do.
Yes.
I do. Yes.
Delicious.
Very delicious. Very consistent.
Yes. Nina, what about you?
For me, at the Gnarly Cuban, I think the Cuba burrito is a go-to. We just added burritos to our menu. And so I'll get that probably with the chicken. It is my favorite. And then outside of the Gnarly Cuban, we've been doing a lot at Mama Napoli too. And they have an awesome sandwich there.
Yes.
Which one's the one that we get?
We get the Sophia.
The Sophia. It's got like it's got the cheese in there, has the mortadella, and then they make their own
focaccia.
The focaccia and the
pesto.
The pesto that's in there.
Yeah, and it has burrata in it.
Oof.
Yes.
Very
good.
It's very good. Very good. Just so you know, Marley, you told me you're one of your favorites, which I love. The more the merrier for when it comes to sandwiches. Croqueta preparada or a club. And then Nina, you told me everything bagel with cheese and tomato.
Yes, with the cheese and the tomato.
Yeah. Which they all hit. All those, everything hits. So it's good. Now, my only question is this: if I were to go and I'm like, hey, I want to have what you usually get, Marley, which is the Cuban bread with the cheese. Do I call it a Marley? What is that? Can you call it that? So that when someone can order it and be like, oh, okay, I just want that.
Well, honestly, we do have that on our menu for the whole entire day. So you can actually order that at the Gnarly Cuban and La Ventanita, like at any given time. The only thing I will say, which was very silly, is that before it used to say tostada. But people were like, a tostada. They thought it was like a Mexican tostada. Yeah. And they were like, oh my God, you guys have tostadas? And so I was like, all right. I said, You guys have to relax.
Yeah.
And so now it just says pan cubano, and at the bottom it'll say like pressed with butter, or you can add cheese. And so we do shred our Swiss cheese. That way it's a better experience. And
Nina, you said it, we're going to talk about it. But since you've already said it, I want to tell people what it is. What's a cubarito? What's your burrito? What's inside of it? Like, give me the description of it so I can drool a little while you tell me about it.
It's literally an experience in every bite. So we put a cilantro white rice in it. Then we put our house-made black beans that are in there. Then you can choose from your protein. You can either do a mojo, like a savory mojo pork, or you can do the citrus chopped chicken that we have. Or you can go no protein if you need a vegetarian option. Then we put these bits of sweet plantain in there. It's got a little pico with the tomatoes, the onions, and the cilantro, so it gives a little fresh bite. Then it's complemented with our signature garlic cilantro sauce and a little shredded cheese toasted, so it's got a nice little soft but crispiness on the outside. The sauce is in there, the sweet. It's a time.
It hits.
Literally.
So let's do a quick recap, because obviously I don't want to. People can listen. They've been on the show before. You can definitely listen if you haven't already. But give people let's just give like a quick recap of how did you start with this idea, And I know, and I don't know if I ever brought it up, but I saw it on I saw it in my research again. You mentioned something about how you turned a setback into a triumph. And I kind of want to have, so give me a little recap, like a quick version of how did the Gnarly Cuban start? And then also talk about what was that setback that set into a triumph.
Okay, that's actually really good that we said that, because that makes sense. So the Gnarly Cuban was born during the pandemic, so I feel like it was kind of like a setback overall, right? Where you're kind of having to pivot, and sometimes we see that as like a setback. So the Gnarly Cuban came from really that setback in life where we were kind of like, okay, we really have to do the next thing. Nina's originally from New York, so unfortunately everything in New York did close, shut down during the pandemic. And so, I was working from home from here, but I used to work for an airline that was very affected. I think at that time I was like, well, I really have to find something to do. And because, she didn't have a job, I was going to be out of a job. We were like, well, what do we do? So we started the Gnarly Cuban because all I'm really great at is cooking. And I say great because it's so delicious. And so I think, then we started delivering from home. We did a lot of just waiting to see like what was going to come of it. But we were considering ourselves to be essential. So we did deliver our food to everyone in our phone. Then the world started to open a little bit. So pop-ups started to become popular, food trucks. So we used to pop up at breweries and just, markets. Just kind of like growing and marketing ourselves out there to say, hey, like we serve Cuban food, please try it. This is our brand, really introducing people. And, we have been able to kind of evolve from each step and to like what the next step is for the Gnarly Cuban. And so now we have a Ventanita after doing 500 pop-ups outside in Florida weather. And, a lot of catering, but now we have a space to kind of now have all of our things together, where I'm sure many people in small business can kind of relate, where like you have little parts of your life coming together. And then you finally are like, okay, I have to take this opportunity and take a chance, if I see the next step. And so then we had our little kitchen, which at first was just our catering kitchen, but we had a little window there. And every day we would come in and we'd be like, dang, we really got to make money out of this window. And so one day I was like, what if we made it a Ventanita? Because, there's always a Ventanita in Miami, Cuban food, but I feel like here, many people have a Ventanita, but they don't use it. And so I was like, well, this is great. We're not zoned for seating, which is why we don't offer it indoors. But, sometimes we do put out some benches. You can wait for your food, have a little snack very quick. And so that's where the Ventanita came to play, where I was like, all right, let's open for hours of operation now, right, and be accessible to people.
And I know, and like you kind of hit on some of the things that I kind of wanted to bring up, like your evolution. Like you did do the pop-ups, you did the catering, you were in a commissary kitchen at first. Yes. So how did tell people a little bit, because like let's be honest, you coated it in a nice, and I know it's nice and compact because it's like a little empanada already prepared, yeah, and it's nice and easy, but it was not that easy, because it's not like like where people like think it's quick fast food. It's just like this whole situation has not been a quick fast food situation. No. Because so I want you to tell people a little bit how you came across your new location, and also how long did it take you to actually make that little kitchen. They're like, oh, a little kitchen, and I haven't. And no. I know it took a while. So how long did it take you to go from finding the spot to actually opening up and actually being able to do that?
That was definitely a process. And to your point, we would bring our whole, when we say we serve Cuban food, like we are serving Cuban food from scratch. So like these things are not already made and ready to go. Like, we do have to cook these things, bring the whole Cuban cafe, because, as Cubans, we're very extra. Yeah. We're like, we need empanadas, we need rice and beans, we need cafecito, pastelito. Because, without all of those things, I'm really, you're kind of not getting the full Cuban experience. And, now we can serve many people at one time. So I think through being able to do those markets, we were like, okay, these markets are awesome, very successful. We were able to meet many people, estamos allá afuera, and we're just like, put the tent out, load the tent, unload it, get to the kitchen. And I think It definitely got to a couple of times where we were in the middle of like, Florida weather, whether it's rain or heat or humidity or I don't know, las cosas pasan. So you're kind of like, well, I'm in the middle of a market, can't just pack up my things and, pull in my car. So I think that urgency was there to find a space, to find a kitchen. We probably saw like 40 to 50 different places. Because, as you're seeing these spaces, you're also learning how to read a lease, which sounds very silly, but there's so many little things in a commercial lease that you really have to read and comb through these things. If not, a landlord will take advantage of you.
Sure.
Unfortunately, we're also women, so I almost feel like women are a little underrepresented in the commercial space, I will say. It is very male dominant, so it's a little bit like, like we're not baby girls. I'm trying to rent this space from you, Mr. Sir, So it's very silly. But, we finally saw this space in La Ventanita. And if you've gone to the Ventanita, you know that it's a very industrial warehouse space, which everyone does not fail to mention it. Everyone's like, are we getting kidnapped or are we getting Cuban food? And I'm like, well, thank God it's, a little treat in the corner of the world. But we finally saw this space and it was not available. That person had to also find a space. So I was, we were seeing it and I was like, well, hopefully this comes through finally. And then, then we finally got actually a 2-week notice that this space was available. So within, those 2 weeks, we were like, oh my God, we're actually going to do this. Like we're going to open a space. We're going to sign a lease and a commitment. Honestly, 3 to 5 years is a long time to think about when you're just signing a paper. You're obviously rooting for yourself, hoping that, you are going to be in business for that long, if not more. But, you just have to know que tienes que ponerte las pilas, Like, a ese punto, you have to literally ponerte las pilas. Like, you need to echar para adelante and do your best. Because, you have things to do. So, that space was also just a warehouse, which, people, when they talk about permitting, it is very true. Permitting takes forever.
It sure does.
And, you have to be, on top of things. So, I will say being Cuban did help us in that, because we're very persistent. I will harass you. Hey, Mr. City of Orlando. How's it going? It's me again. Remember the Cuban girl? And so, we signed the lease July of 2023.
Yeah.
Or June of 2023. So, happy birthday, I guess, to the lease of being 2 years now. And we did not get into this space actually until October of 2024. So that was almost a year and 2 months of people asking, when are you gonna open? I cannot. It got to the point where people would ask us that, and I'm like, Nina, please take the lead. I'm like,
all the questions.
No.
So let me ask you when it came to that, because so obviously you had the idea, you found it, but then that place had to be, since it was warehouse, you had to make it into a kitchen area. Is that what the problem was?
Yes, we had to make it into a kitchen, which a lot of people, you do see a space and maybe it's a retail space, but it doesn't mean that it's a food and beverage. So now you have to do a change of use. You have to make sure that the city is okay with that change of use. It's not like, oh, I chose this place. You do have to do your homework before also choosing a space to make sure it's zoned for what you would like to do, that you can do that in that space, because you could very much rent a space, sign the lease, and then come to find out that you actually can't do that there. And now what do? Do you create another business? Do you break the lease? Whatever. So we did have to do our homework on this space. And because it was space number 47, at that point, we were definitely doing our homework. Like, hey, can we do this here? Can we not? We also knew we were going to do a lot of those things ourselves, just based on our funds and resources. We were like, okay, because we had spoken to a lot of people, which I think I mentioned this last time, where they were like, well, if you don't have $600,000. And I think for us, we were like, well, do you think I would be just opening a kitchen if I had $600,000? Probably not. You know what I mean? So I think we did have to make it into a kitchen. We did have to go through permitting, and we did have to make sure that it was safe to cook in there and be okay with also knowing that we could not have seating. So I feel like that was a big point of our business, because we did so much catering and we were kind of like, okay, well, having seating, it's whatever. But now that it's the summer, I'm like, damn, people can't sit in here. It's hot. It's outside.
Yeah. No, but I mean, at the same time, you still have the catering aspect of it. And so, and
Right.
just to kind of state, and just in case you're listening and you're like, well, where's the Ventanita? You're in the packing district area, correct?
Yeah.
It's like
Is
Packing District, College Park. I feel like
Yeah.
we're in the middle. I'm trying to make it the Warehouse District,
Yeah,
similar to Toronto.
that sounds good. The
Yeah.
warehouse district, it's in there. I know they've done numerous events. There's other businesses that are also inside of that park, industrial
Shout
park
out Good
area.
Hills, Mr. Greg, and the Warehouse as well. They're in there.
Correct. So like there's stuff
Oh,
there,
Ritzy.
and the nice thing is that you are in district and College
Yeah.
Park, so you're like in that little, it's like a little hub where you're like in between, across the street. You're like you're there, which I think is great because more
Very
people
up and
are
coming.
correct. You're ahead of your in the space and everything like that.
Yeah.
So you now have the Ventanita, you have all that. I'm kind of curious on, and it took you over a year. So like, so I'm going to ask one question on that, and then we'll talk about what you're offering. So during the whole time that you're doing all this, I'm always kind of curious about this because I don't have a lease to figure out, like I'm assuming while you're doing this build out, do you have to pay rent even though you're not actually selling or doing anything in there?
Yes.
Yeah, girl.
Right?
That is what we thought about every day. Every day I was like, we need to open this window. I'm like, if we don't open this window soon. But yeah, I think like, when we did sign the lease, like obviously, you have things to pay, but you don't really think, you have to pay during all of those months. Like the landlord's not going to be like, oh, you need, 12 months free. And there are some landlords out there that do offer you, your rent abatement, maybe like 3 months or whatever. But, it's also very like sharky out there. So you're kind of like, well, if someone offers a better deal and bids me out, now I don't have anything. So I think even when we were looking for the space, maybe it's a little different now, but maybe when we were looking for it, it was like fresh when a lot of businesses were looking for a space.
Yeah.
So I will say, yeah, I'm really grateful that we did get into this Ventanita before because everything around us is growing. So it's kind of nice to see people also be able to grow with us because College Park hasn't had like Latin food in a little bit. I know that there were maybe some Latin influence places, but we are first generation Cuban, so we are serving actual culture
Tradition.
and food and tradition. And you can come and speak Spanish to us, you can come and speak English to us, you can come and like talk shit out the window just like you are at the chisme is like on fire. We also treat everyone like we are someone's like Cuban abuelita. So I feel like that area needs a little Cuban abuelita spice.
I love it. Give people listening, and especially where you're at, because you had to change, from what you guys were doing. You're kind of doing almost like a hybrid version of what you offered as a pop-up and as was catering to now that's available at your spot in the Ventanita. So tell people a little bit about what they can expect when they're going there. I know you offer a variety of things from empanadas to bowls to different cafecitos, breakfast on certain mornings. Is there anything I'm missing, or you want to kind of elaborate a little bit of like what they can expect if they're in the area and they want to go eat? What can they expect to go and enjoy with you?
I would say you get to try like Cuban staples now. We're at our pop up, it was very limited. We could only bring so much. And so I feel like, people didn't know that we offered more than just empanadas. I think 2 years ago we were named Empanada Mamas on Orlando Sentinel. And everybody's like, oh my God, the best empanadas, which I love that. We love that. We were like, oh my God, we love empanadas. It's great. But, we wanted to be able to offer a little bit more because, we also do serve a lot of gluten-free and vegan people. And people just in general want like a good ropa vieja bowl, or they want like good picadillo. So now we can actually offer like not just the empanadas, but now I can have croquetas and I can have papas rellenas. We also can have like more options for cafecito, where now we are like, now you can have a colada, a cortadito, you can have a café con leche, you can have it iced, you can have it hot. We do make our own hibiscus tea, which is
I was going to
sweet.
say you could even get a half-gallon growler of your cafecito.
Yes,
You
if you're
can
really...
get we're trying to be the caffeine plug, because I feel like going to the Ventanita and getting a half-gallon growler of cafecito. True. Come grab one, because people buy coffee every day.
It's true, and now every week you can just refill it.
Yeah, people come and they refill it, almost like a subscription, low key. You order it online. It's ready for you on the day that you need it. It's ready for your party in case, everybody needs a little iced coffee. I feel like it's really a bang for your buck, quite honestly, because it's very good cafe con leche and like it's ready to go. All you got to do is add ice in a cup.
Right. Delicious.
I love that. I love it. So I know we were kind of talking before the show. I want to know a little bit about what's been the biggest change and transition now that you have a new spot.
I think like we fail to remember that we've only opened the window 3 months ago. But I feel like, you get so eager to now offer your food every day. And I think like the misconception is that the Gnarly Cuban is so popular because you see this really long line at, Milk Mart. But if you think about it, Milk Mart is like, it's a very niche market for us where people are wanting to eat an empanada on the go, So now that we're also in College Park packing district, I feel like our crowd has changed. So we've had to pivot into now catering to a different audience. It's not just like the people that we see at markets any longer. Now we're meeting families of the people of College Park who have also lived in College Park since they were born, so, no pressure, but they, when they think of Cuban food, they think of like real Cuban food. So it's funny because like the Gnarly Cuban empanada is our Cuban sandwich empanada.
Yes.
It's evolved from so many years of the Gnarly Cuban, which now we're in year 5, which is crazy to think. So we're thinking of having like a little birthday this year. Because, 5 is like,
it's a big number.
We're like a toddler
Big.
now.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think our biggest thing is realizing, okay, we don't have seating. So when you think of, I'm going to go eat during lunch, there are 50% of the people who are like, I'm going to go sit somewhere and eat my lunch. And then we have the other 50% that you can order online at the Gnarly Cuban and grab it and take it to wherever you'd like. So I think learning that we have both of those people now who want to come to the window and also who want to pick up to go has been pretty interesting to figure out. Like, what's going to happen at the window today?
Yeah, I gotta assume that that's kind of be one of those where your business has changed in a way because, like you said, you're in a location. The beauty of it is you're still doing catering and you're still doing the pop-ups.
Yes.
Maybe not as often, and depends because you have a spot now. But it also, the idea of it is always that everything at the end still ends up, leading to the location of where you're at in the Ventanita.
100%. And we struggle to think about that too, right? Because we love to do markets, pero qué va? Estamos viejita, ya. Honestly, it's true. Like,
It wears you out.
People don't think like a market day is like, it's not just those 6 hours of us being at the market. It's the 6 hours before the market and, the other 6 hours after the market, which now makes it an 18-hour day. And it really does take a toll. I feel like before we used to recover and we were like spring chickens in 2020. But I feel like now I'm like 3 days later and I'm like, oh my God, the market has taken me out. So it is harder to catch back up. So to your, to agree with you is that we are now being like very selective of the markets that we do because we still want you to come to the window. Like, of course you can find us at a market, but we won't be doing as many because then having the Ventanita would defeat the purpose. Like, I do want people to still come to La Ventanita. We want you to just order online, honestly, and pick up, grab it and go. It's good for catering because now I don't have to deliver all of the caterings. You can come pick up the catering, very convenient. So I think La Ventanita, we're trying to make it as convenient as possible. If you need it, I got it. You order it, it's there, it's reliable, and it's fresh. I think a lot of people love that now they can have our empanadas like fresh. At the market, we're obviously frying outside and doing all these things, but now when you come to the window, like you can have a rice bowl. It's very much hot, ready to go type of thing. I make quesitos now, which are delicious. So I think like I'm upping my Cuban baking game, honestly, which is very like crazy because now I'm like, why did I learn how to make quesitos? Why am I trying to offer like a million things at this Ventanita? But, it's really nice to also just be able to offer things more often and not feel so limited.
No, I totally get that. And it's an evolution of your business, of where you guys have, where the two of you have started to where you guys are at. I know you guys have been doing this for a while, and I'm just kind of curious, what's something you've noticed has changed in Orlando with small businesses and markets and pop-ups?
Oh, that's a good question.
Yeah. What do you think?
What has changed the most?
I feel like there's many markets now compared
That's
to
true.
when we started. I think when we started, there was probably like two or three, which obviously everything should evolve and grow. But I would say the markets too. I don't know. I feel like they're a little oversaturated. Sometimes like people just want to put the market together but don't think of all the aspects of putting it together. And there are some people that do it very well, but there are other people that, you get to the market and you're like, well, if I'm selling this, now you got three other people selling the same exact thing. And, I've already paid my due fee of being here. I'm not going to leave. I'm just hoping that, it's an equal opportunity for all of us and not going to affect now my sales in general, because maybe it's not the same, but it's so similar that it kind of gives it, I kind of feel like it kind of gives it like a Sharky kind of mood now at
No, I'm
so
with you
I feel
100.
like, yeah.
I think a lot of it is not. It's a mixture of two things. It's not. And like I agree to the sense of like the saturation. Like I don't know if there's that many markets or if some of the markets are just so much bigger that
Right,
now it becomes a little bit harder because now it's even more competitive to
right,
have. You're now competing with more of you because there's more vendors, which means less money each person can spend, you know,
right,
less to go around. I mean, yeah, hopefully there's more people to it because there's more
right.
vendors, but
Right.
then sometimes it gets so big that
Yeah.
depending on where it
Well,
is.
and the weather outside really like affects a lot. I feel like
1,000%.
that's like the biggest thing. And it also makes us like very sad, because maybe I've done a million markets, but maybe the person next to me had this is their first market. And
Right.
to be introduced to wind, thunder, lightning, flooding, like you're just kind of like, I'm never doing this again. Like you really have to have, like, I feel like the market game, which we've said that, because even hiring people, we're like, okay, this person has to be aware that this is going to be a very difficult day, in the sense of, anything can happen. We can't control everything that happens at a market as much as we would love to do that. We can only control like 60%. The other 40% is for the streets. I'm sorry, anything can happen. You just don't know, but you have to let that person know, hey, I just need you to be down for today. Anything kind of could happen, but let's just make sure we follow what we normally would do. We're setting up, we're performing well, we're just like paying attention, to your surroundings and everything, because everything changes. So I think markets are awesome. If you're starting out to market yourself, I think marketing, it's so great to go to markets and do that. I do feel like growing out of certain markets, I would like to do festivals now. Like I would love to be at something like an EDC festival and sell empanadas there. Like I do want to also keep our market game to keep evolving. Instead of doing maybe the same thing over and over again, where now we can give the opportunity to somebody else to maybe sell their goods.
No, I love that. I love that. One of the things that you kind of said, and especially now that you have a location and then also being able to spread out, like you even said, like having to have other people now involved in the process of trying to help you, whether at the Ventanita, whether at a pop-up or the catering. And then the hard part a lot of times is a lot of people are used to just seeing like if I go, I want to see Marley and Nina. I want to see either one of you, both of you if I can, but I want to see at least one of you.
At
And so
least.
that's got to
At least
be
a hand.
right, something. I got at least even just like a wave, like hey, hi, como estamos? Yeah, that's it.
Yes.
And I'm like, but at the same time, like that's got to be difficult too, because you got to try to find when you need the help and stuff like that, because there's only so much the two of you can do,
Correct.
on a day to day, so try to find the help or find someone that can come in and chip in or do something.
But it's so funny that you do say that, because we talk about that. I'm like, dang, that person came back today. The first time they came, they talked to me or Nina. But then like they'll come back and it does feel that way. They almost feel like if they didn't see me or Nina, they were not acknowledged almost.
It was not the experience.
It was, yeah, they're just like, did I just go to the Gnarly Cuban? Which is like very funny, because like it's still the Gnarly Cuban. We obviously, when we do hire people, we want them to represent the Gnarly Cuban. So we do make sure that we you know, this person is friendly and that they do know the menu so they can go over it with you and everything. So having staff has been very awesome, and being able to open La Ventanita, it's been helping us grow, and being able to also be open at the window and do catering at the same time, because a lot of people don't know that we do both sometimes in one day. And sometimes I'll have 2 caterings in one day and I'm still open at the window. Because, you know, you just never know what tomorrow brings. So I think one thing I always say, I'm like, if it's good today, you got to get it. Because tomorrow you just don't know.
If it's hot, it's hot.
If it's hot, it's hot. I think I said that last time. Like, if it's hot, it's hot.
I mean, it makes sense. I mean, you're not going to say no to catering if you got catering options. I mean, that's easy. That's, I mean, obviously, I call it
It's
easy
so
in the sense of it's different, but it's got to be really convenient, especially since you have the kitchen. I mean, that's one of the beauties of why you guys did this, was to be able to not have to go to a commissary kitchen to do all these things and have to battle. Now you have it and you're like, well, I can make food all day. I can, you know,
correct.
You
and
know,
you don't
do
realize
something.
like how quickly you can make food. What's really nice is that, you know, there's no such thing really as like running out, so to say, because I could make things on the fly now, where, you know, you go to the market, if you forget something, you're asked out. Excuse my language. But, you know, like you can't go back to go pick this up or whatever. Like at that point, you just got to thug it out at the market with whatever you brought and make it work. And hopefully, you know, hope for the best.
Yeah. What, so as you said, you're getting close to 5 years doing this.
5 years.
As well as also, you know, evolution wise, what do you think you've learned along the way on this journey so far?
What have we not learned?
Right.
Actually.
Yeah, let's go with that.
Yeah. So I guess like one thing I guess, which a lot of people don't know, is that our relationship kind of started almost with the Gnarly Cuban. So not only, you know, are we life partners, we're also business partners. And I think like, you know, a lot of people will be like, oh my God, I don't want to work with my significant other, or I don't want to be in the kitchen with that person. But, you know, honestly, I don't feel like we feel that way. I do feel like, although I'm so much in my zone, and I'm a very stern chef when I'm in the kitchen, it is very true, because I'm like, guys, we're focused. We need to do what we need to do. But I will say, like, it's a good compliment, because I'm such a like hard ass, and I do feel like Nina's like such the more nicer version, I guess, of me. You know, vice versa. I do feel like I'm like, Nina, no one can ever take advantage of you. And like, you know, she looks at me and she's like, you know what, you're right. But like sometimes I think the thing that I've probably learned or not learned still is that we like balance each other out so nicely at the Gnarly Cuban, that like I was thinking about this yesterday. Like I would not be able to do the Gnarly Cuban without Nina, quite honestly. So although people are like, you know, she cooks everything, and I'm like, yeah, but like at the end of the day, you know, I do a lot of the cooking, but Nina like does like, she's at the window, she's greeting people, she's making sure people are coming back and creating now that relationship, which is really nice. Because when the Gnarly Cuban first started, everybody was like, Marley. And I feel like now people can be like, oh my God, I've met Nina, you know, and like now they understand where the Gnarly Cuban kind of comes together. So I think just like learning to balance a relationship, but also balance like being in the business as we have other people also entering the business, and being able to be on the same page. Okay, this is what we need to have for like our employees, and this is what we're going to do now as like our procedures. So I think learning all of those things together, because what have I not learned? Crazy.
Right. It's been a process of learning the business, learning personal self, right? Because you're growing throughout this. We went through a whole pandemic where like our lives completely in the wake of 2 weeks switched over into something totally different.
Yeah.
And so now we've gone through this process of learning and sitting with ourselves, sitting with each other. You know, now we had to talk things through, whether it was, you know, something in the kitchen or something that this one didn't do. And then it was also cool, like, you know, every day coming home, and now we have to figure out what is the next step.
We like brief each other when we get home.
Yeah, we're like, yo, today went like this. We saw this person. This didn't work out, so let's try this tomorrow.
Yes.
This recipe didn't work, or at the market was a woman-dominated market, so we know to bring chicken empanadas this time. Or this market was male-dominated.
We do,
So you know, we keep in track of each other and doing all the things that we need to do. And I think it's been a really cool process to see and like grow from. I think internally, I feel like I've been like way stronger as a person and as a manager and as a business owner too. And I see that in her, like every day she's trying to like check 17 things off the list, and I'm like, babe, I'm coming, I'll be right, right behind you.
Yeah.
You know, so.
But also like unlearning a lot of things. I feel like
too.
the Gnarly Cuban has also like made us into like adults.
Yeah.
Right? Because I know that I always say like, oh, I was adulting, but damn, I was not adulting this hard.
The responsibility.
No, I was
different.
not. You know, because I was responsible to feed myself, to pay my bills, the regular things in life. But I feel like now I'm like, oh my God, I'm like, well, now I have to schedule like, meetings and be on time for them and make sure that I'm also like scheduling things appropriately. And also making sure that we're also not burning ourselves out at the same time. Because although, yes, we want to do a million things, because the kitchen is I wouldn't say it's a difficult job, but it's very intense. And so it's very silly because
a lot of
like
manual labor, right? Like
yes.
You have to be in the kitchen. I can't be anywhere else but in the kitchen
right.
when I need to cook. So.
And we're very much, what I do love about the Gnarly Cuban is, to your point, like you're always going to probably see me and Nina there. People ask us that very often. They're like, are you ever going to leave the business? And I'm like, that just wouldn't make sense for us and our brand, because me not being there in its entirety in the kitchen probably means at that point that, if I don't want to be in the kitchen, then something is wrong. So I do feel like I do love being in the kitchen there. And to your point, like if I see you every Sunday, like I want to be like, hey, Biggs, like how's it going? Like, and I want you to look forward to also seeing one of us there. So that way you could be like, wow, like that felt like home, regardless of whoever, was in the front or not.
Yeah. I mean, granted, and at the same time, if you look at it as you grow and expand and have other locations or other Ventanitas, it'll get to a point where that may happen, where you're not,
right.
you may be at the home one because that one's creating all the food that's going to the other spots, and things like that. So I totally get that. What do you, when you're not working and you're not talking Ventanita or shop, what do you guys do for fun?
Well, we just got bikes. We ride our bikes.
We do.
I feel like we've been cooking a lot more at home.
Yeah.
Kind of enjoying. So this year we decided we're not going to drink. So we kind of put this challenge. We did dry January, which we thought was like a gringo thing. We were like, dry January, I've never participated. So we tried it. And then, after we tried that, we were kind of like, okay, like we'll have like one drink. And it didn't hit the same. So we were like, okay, what if we just don't drink? And kind of see like how we can challenge ourselves. So I think like most recently, as opposed to just thinking of only having fun, I think we've been taking care of ourselves like health wise. Because one thing that someone did tell me who was a business owner last year, he was like, well, if I don't take care of myself, how is my business going to continue? And I think sometimes like we got so lost in the sauce, because last year was the introduction of the Ventanita and like, holiday catering coming in, and our season got very busy, but we also were like, we haven't been home for like 6 months, So I think now for fun, honestly, I'm enjoying for fun. I'm resting for fun. I'm enjoying my rent for, we just have been trying to just actually have more of a sense of home, because we're always in the kitchen. And that started to feel like we live there. And I feel like at that point we were kind of like, what the heck? Like we need to go back home and actually enjoy it. So yeah, we've been going on a little bike ride, hanging out at home, and taking vitamins.
I like that. And hopefully getting your sleep. That's the other big one.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Shout out melatonin.
Actually, the other one I would shout out to is magnesium, if you haven't taken that. Seriously, magnesium, especially, and I'll even say it based on what I know, since obviously I'm in a house full of women. I know that magnesium is very, usually women suffer a lot of magnesium deficiency.
True. Yes.
So it's helpful, but I will say that because I use magnesium supplement, and I also do a magnesium cream.
Nice.
And I basically, that's how it helps me go to sleep, but it also helps with like a variety of things. So definitely take a, yeah,
I love that.
Yeah. And I can actually, I'll send you the local business that I use the magnesium cream from.
Okay.
That she's amazing.
Oh, that would be nice.
She's amazing. We basically, my whole house uses it. Bella uses it, and my wife uses it. We all use it before we go to sleep. We
I love that. And it's so worth it. I feel like because, it comes from a small business. I think that's our thing too. Like, we also like to use like small business like items and products at home. And so I guess like I really enjoy seeing them at my house. I'm like, oh, well, little reminder.
Right.
I love that. What? So I'm gonna go with I'm gonna ask. I know I've asked this before, but things have changed, so you guys are probably gonna give me a different answer. But what advice would you give someone for wanting to start something?
I would say if you are really, really, really about it, you should do it. But just know that like you really got to put like work into it.
Yeah.
I would say just do it.
Just do it, and but with intention.
With intention.
I think it's about doing it, but doing it with intention. Not to like start it and say, hey, I started something. And then in 6 months, like you're like, well, that's it. Let me start the next thing. Like, I think we definitely started the Gnarly Cuban with intention right before we started to like really hit the ground running. I think we looked at each other and Marley looked at me and was like, no, like we're about to do, like, I hope you know you're locked in now. Like you have to, if you're going to start this, like you have to start this and you know, we're not going to finish until the wheels fall off. Like this is not, it's something that if you have the idea too, and you really have that vision, like you're not going to want to stop really. But hoping that you have a partner or a pair that can definitely help you get there would be
just believing in yourself too. Yeah. I think believing in yourself is important. I feel like that's one of the things that I will say, like with the Gnarly Cuban, like believing in ourselves, believing in whatever it is that you are going to do. We talk about this now very often. We're like, if you put that out into like existence, like if you talk to yourself nicer or you tell yourself like, hey, you know, good morning. You know, good morning. How's it going? Talking to yourself nicer, believing in yourself, and really like, really going through the motions. I feel like some people, you know, like you'll start something and I'm very guilty of it. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm like, I have to work harder. You know, and some, you know, you think you work really hard, but owning a small business or starting something is much more than just going to work. You're not going to work. You are at work 24/7, especially as a small business. Like, yes, I say, oh, I'm taking a Monday off, but really I'm 20 emails deep talking about catering, following up. I do a lot of follow up. So I think if you're willing to put in the work, then you should do it because like I said, ponte las pilas and literally do it because I feel like you can really make anything out of whatever you think you're going to do. I feel like if you plan on doing it and you put work into it, like that can exist. You can have that opportunity.
I agree with that. And I do agree about talking to yourself. I read something recently, like talk to yourself as you would talk to your best friend.
Yes.
Because the way we treat ourselves and our way our mind can kind of go, sometimes we don't give ourselves enough grace. But if you do it like that and you give, you know, show the love to yourself like you would to your best friend, then all is good when it comes to that. Tell people
self-love, very important.
A lot of self-love for sure. Tell people where they can follow you. Tell people where the Ventanita is. Tell people where they can get some Cuban treats. Give the.
Okay. Well, the Ventanita address is 545 Coolidge, Suite C for Cuban. Literally. We are in the sunniest corner in the world. So please expect that there are some benches. You can hang out and stuff, pero hace calor. Ventanita is more like a to-go. We're in College Park. You can follow us at the Gnarly Cuban on really all of our social media. Quite honestly, you can go to our website at thegnarlycuban.com where you can order online. You can pick up to go. It's very convenient, very easy. But yeah, follow us on social media. Apparently, we have been on TikTok now from opening La Ventanita, which is very fun. People are like, I saw you on TikTok. And I'm like, what? Ven a comer. We have a phone line now. So if you want to call us, we will talk to you on the phone. I got all the answers for all the questions, whatever you want to call me about. And we're currently open Wednesday through Sunday, 8 to 2. On Sundays, we open at 9, a little bit later. But yeah, you can come have your favorite Cuban food during those times. And I always tell people, if you need a little cafecito break on a Tuesday and I'm at the kitchen, come see me. I never deny a cafecito to anyone.
And I will vouch for their cafecito. I also will vouch if you get the café con leche with oat milk, that hits like I didn't believe it until I had it. Yeah, that's some good stuff right there.
A lot of people is really funny because like the Cuban people come to the Ventanita and you know, no pressure. But we'll be like, oh, what kind of milk do you want? Like leche de avena or leche de vaca? Like do you want oat milk or whole milk? And the look of disgust, people are like, you guys have what? And we're like, we just have options for everyone. Like, it's very delicious, don't want to downplay the oat milk. And I feel like it's 50% people are like, that's not Cuban. We need leche evaporada. Like, do you have evaporated milk? And I'm like, all right. And then the other 50% are like, oh my God, wow, you have, I want to have a Cuban coffee, but I don't drink whole milk because it ruins my whole day. So with the oat milk, el cafecito no cambia. It is
No,
just
it's good.
delicious.
It is good. I'm a believer, and I've had it, and I can vouch for it because
I love that.
I enjoy it. That's actually how we drink it now, majority of the time, which is great.
Ooh, a casa Biggie. I like
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
I like that.
That's how we roll. That's how
That means you have to invite us.
we don't have regular milk in our house.
That's cool.
We
I
have
love
like
that.
oat milk, and then we have like the Farm Life lactose free milk or something like that. It's
Yeah.
like, those are like our
The only two.
that's what we do. Heck, my coffee creamer is oat milk creamer. So it's like,
It's perfect.
I love that.
yeah, that's all we drink now. We don't know anything
I'm
else.
glad you
And,
didn't do that.
that's the only way to do it. Ladies, I really appreciate you taking the time to come chat with me. I know like I said, we've tried this a few times. I know you've been busy. That's a good thing. I want you to be busy, but I appreciate you guys, the two of you taking some time to hang out with me a little bit again, and getting to share the story.
Yeah.
I love.
Again, thank you for having us.
Yeah, for real.
I
Thank you
feel
for
like
having
you've
us.
supported us from like the beginning. So
Yeah, I mean,
it's also nice to like share. I guess also too, like we see like your daughter, grow up and everything, and I'm like, what the heck? I'm like, are we old? And I know that Bella loves to like, cook and everything. So I think it's very inspirational. I love, your family to support small business. I love that you are a small business. I love that you are a talking personality. I love that.
well, thank you so much. That's our show for today. Thank you so much to the Gnarly Cuban with Marley and Nina for coming on and being with me. Definitely make sure to check them out. Have an empanada. I will have the next thing I have is going to be their cubarito. I definitely want one of those, especially what she got me when I heard the rice and also platanitos maduro adentro. I knew that's how I would have made it. So I'm definitely going to be having one of those soon. But definitely check out the Ventanita. If you have, take a selfie, take a picture, tag us. Tell people if you heard this and you had never heard of them before. Obviously you're going to probably see them at a pop-up, but definitely, go visit them at the Ventanita, especially if you had a café con leche with oat milk and it changed your life. Then you make sure to let me know that. If you want to support my brand, check out Deli Fresh Threads. Thank you for listening. Till next time, keep eating sandwiches and follow your passion. Thanks, everyone.
Demo.